Hello and good morning. My name's Amanda, and I am the community outreach nurse here at the Missouri Poison Center. And with me today is Mary. She is one of our nurses and certified specialists in poison information. And we're going to tag team today and talk a little bit about drug take back, how to do that safely either in your home or outside of the home. And that is perfect knowing that it is National Drug Take Back Day in about a week. So we'll talk a little bit more about that shortly. But let's just kind of go through why we should be taking back or getting rid of old, expired, and extra medications. It really is a public health and an environmental concern. If we improperly dispose of medications, such as flushing them down the toilet or throwing them in the trash, we can have both environmental issues, contamination to water, pose risk to wildlife. Also, in addition, that makes it become more available to those who might be at risk, whether that be for a human, a child to get into it, or somebody who is trying to access the medicine, or even your pet, which we know dogs especially are prone to kind of getting into things that they shouldn't, as well as kids. And those pets and our children are particularly vulnerable to these accidental ingestions, which can really result in an urgent need for care and certainly lots of calls to the Poison Center. It also helps to prevent drug misuse and to protect our family as well as the environment. So there are a lot of good reasons to make sure that we store our medication safely, as well as when we are done with it or it is expired, that we get rid of it in a safe manner. So I'm going to pass it off to Mary as she talks about some of the different programs.
Okay. Yeah, thank you, Amanda. As she said, my name is Mary. I'm one of the nurses here at the Missouri Poison Center. And so if you call us, you might speak to me someday. Hopefully, you won't need to, but we are always here if you need us. So, as far as the medications and safe disposal goes, we do want to point out that there are a number of community based programs that provide safe and accessible options for disposing unused medications. And we all know this happens. We all have got medications that have either expired or we're no longer using for whatever reason. A doctor prescribed them and they've changed our prescription. So we often find ourselves with medications that are no longer going to be used for any person in our, whoever it was prescribed to, or if it's an over the counter, if it's expired and it's a variety of people that have used it and we just are ready to get rid of it. So there are options because we don't want to flush them down the toilet, which we'll get to in a minute. So as far as the options go, the DEA does organize a twice yearly National Prescription Drug Takeback, and it's usually in the spring and then the fall, and there is one coming up October 25th, which is a Saturday here in about just at the end of this week, 5 days. And there are if you go on the website, which I believe Amanda is going to post a link to, you can it's very easy to use. You can put your zip code in and it'll show you exactly where to go based on however many miles radius from your house that you want to travel. And you can take any prescription medication, and usually it's any prescription medication. We'll get into that in a moment. But there are certain things that are they do offer a wide range of accepted medications that you can drop off. So their events are supported by local law enforcement, health organizations. I put in my personal zip code before this, and most of them around me are at various police departments nearby. So in addition to these events, if you are unable to get there on Saturday, or you've got other things going on and you're ready to get rid of your medications at a different time, there are a variety of year-round disposal options. They're usually at, again, police departments. There's pharmacies that will take them back. Some hospitals will take them back. Some clinics will take them back and dispose of them properly. Make sure they're not diverted. Make sure that nobody gets into them. Like Amanda said, the kids' pets, they don't just throw them out in the normal trash, basically. So the over-the-counter medications, some pet medications, prescription medications, pills, tablets, capsules, all of that sort of thing is accepted. And then again, they provide a key role in keeping medications out of the hands of people that it will hurt. So children, there's other high abuse medications, which, like opioid medications and things like that, that have a risk of people taking them inappropriately for their own pleasure. And so we obviously don't want to encourage that or make it, a case where that's going to happen with the medications that we've been prescribed. So we want to use our resources responsibly, and that's part of it. So there are, again, a variety of different ones. The link, Amanda, did you put it in there? The link? Okay, yeah. So go on that website. There's a lot of really good information on the FDA website, and links with the DEA and how to find these sites that you can take your medications to this Saturday. And then the disposal methods at home, again, there are times when, like I said, maybe you can't get to one of these sites on Saturday, or there's other reasons that you are unable to leave your home, or, there's just other restrictions in your life that you can't get to one of these facilities or locations to drop off your medications. You can dispose of medications safely at home. So there are a number of different recommendations that we are going to discuss. So you want to mix your medications with something that is unpalatable and that will help to prevent misuse. So you can put it in like used coffee grounds. They're wet, and they can, you can put your tablets in there and they will dissolve, and they will make it so that they can't be accessed by children or pets or anything else. And then you can put them in a sealed bag and put them in your household trash. That's fine to do. Anytime you're disposing of a bottle, a prescription bottle, you don't just want to throw the thing away completely. It is definitely recommended to scratch out or remove the label and shred it up however you can, so that you're protecting your own privacy. You want to definitely don't just throw the bottle away. You also, obviously, as we're discussing, don't want to leave any pills inside of a bottle and just throw it away as it stands. The FDA advises against flushing pills down the toilet. So it can get into the water supply, it can contaminate the environment and produce other problems. But there are a few medications that the FDA has said are okay to flush down the toilet. It is on that there's an FDA flush list for certain medications, and it's basically, there's a lot of opioids that are on there. And the reason the FDA says it's okay to flush those, but not other things, is because there's a high risk to human health from those medications being available. And so it is important, if you're unable to get them to a take-back location, as we've talked about, the second option is to flush them. If you have those opioid medications, there are a couple of other ones on the FDA list that they say are okay to flush down the toilet, and you can always check that link to determine if the medication is on that list of an okay to flush. Other than that, there are a variety of other ways that you can dispose of medications. There are dissolved packets that you can buy. They do cost money, but you can put your pills in them and then usually add water. There's instructions depending on which product you're using that will walk you through how to do it. But you can, if you have just a small amount of pills and you've got access to one of these pouches, or you want to order one of them off of the internet or other places that you can find them. I don't know if pharmacies sell them, but I do know that you can buy them online. You can put all of your pills in there and seal it up, and it will then safely be able to be thrown away into the trash. There are also mail back envelopes that you can use, authorized disposal facilities that you can send them your pills, and they will then dispose of them correctly. So online retailers and pharmacies are where you want to go to find those things. All right, so then what can be disposed? They typically, the take-back drug programs will accept a wide range of medications, prescription, over-the-counter drugs, pet medications. There are things that will not be accepted. needles, it's kind of self-explanatory there, but needles should be in a sharps container, and then different hazardous, your own facility or your own local trash place will tell you what to do with sharps if you have those. Thermometers also are not accepted at take-back programs for various safety reasons, but if you have any pills, those are generally accepted. And then creams, patches, liquids, sometimes those are location specific, so you would want to check with the location that you're planning to go to before you would take those things and see if they would accept them. All right, and then we did already talk about the removing personal information from your medication before you throw your bottles away. I think that's about all on that slide. The next one is, okay, safety tips. So store your medications in a cool, dry place, locked cabinets, away from children and pets. And I cannot, express the importance of that enough. So obviously we get calls all the time from parents who say, my kid got into the medication bottle and it's in a child lock, sort of thing where they have to push and twist. And really kids can get into those given enough time. So we call them child proof, but really they're just child resistant. They resist children's access, but they are not a locking mechanism. So if you have a cabinet that locks or other sorts of lock boxes, put your containers in there, put all your medications in there. That's going to be your best way of keeping your children and pets safe for medication. The other thing is checking your expiration dates. You obviously want to keep an eye on the expiration dates. Those are important. And then, as we said, if you have medications that are expired, you know now how to dispose of them. And then keep all of your medications in the original containers. That is another very important thing. So it will avoid confusion. It will allow for proper identification if a medication error does occur. That way you're not trying to figure out who, I took a pill from this bottle and this bottle says this, but I look inside and I see 5 different types of pills in there. I have no idea what I took. You definitely want to avoid that situation, and you can do that by keeping all medications in their original containers. And then, when you're taking your medications, obviously when you're with your home with your kids, kids see us do all kinds of things and then they want to imitate us. That's just part of childhood. So as best you can, just take your medications, don't make a big show of it, and, don't call it candy, all of that sort of thing. Just take your medications and avoid sharing them or using them in front of your children as much as possible, because again, they mimic us. They want to be grown up, and that's just part of childhood. So we want to keep them as safe as possible.
All right. Thanks very much, Mary, for those disposal methods, both in the community and at home, and some extra safety tips regarding medication. Last but not least, we want to make sure that you have the Missouri Poison Center or the Poison Helpline available. It is 1-800-222-1222, and we are free, fast, and confidential. We're 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And when you do call the Poison Helpline, you will speak to a registered nurse or pharmacist who is specially trained to help you through that situation, that overdose or poisoning. You can even call with just questions. So if you need some further recommendations about safe medicine disposal or product safety in your home, feel free to give us a call. Again, it is 1-800-222-1222. And thank you very much, Mary, for sharing your expertise, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks. Bye.